working in the pub, so she had come over with her boyfriend Death and Dad. Hola Cecilia, hola Costa, ti amo. They're very love. It's very sweet.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Patriot Show. I'm your host, Anthony Stephen Malone. Today we have a very special guest on the show, Sarah Jane Davies. She's a stand-up comedian, and I have had the honour to see her perform live as well. Outstanding. Hello Sarah, how are you doing?
He had the honour to see me live in a sound system that didn't work. I think he was about one of 20 that could hear me, but God bless him, he laughed.
Only a little bit. All right, Sarah, obviously a lot of my viewers are going to actually already know you. I've seen you, I've heard of you. So you already have an impeccable reputation anyway, especially after a couple of drinks. Right, on that one, why stand up?
Why stand up? Because it was something I'd always wanted to do, but it really frightened me. And I was in a sort of place in my life where I thought, I haven't done anything lately that challenges me. And I think that's really important to do in life, to challenge yourself and put yourself outside of your comfort zone. So that's why I wanted to do it. I did. I got up. I went to an open mic night. Sorry, I might have to go and punch the dog because she's scrapping the door. I need to just let the dog out.
I'll just pause the video. Right, we've let the dog out the door, so you can continue now.
I've hoofed the dog out the door. Yeah, so I decided to do an act, and my father had died before, and that changed my perspective on life, that, you know, life really is short, and I thought, you know, do it. So even though it was an open mic night, you just turn up, I had lots of people that wanted to come and see me do it, and they couldn't believe I was going to do it. And so I booked my slot. I said I must have a guaranteed slot, and they said that's fine. They're meant to be 15-minute slots. I was on stage for 40 minutes. It went down an absolute storm. I got a booking straight off the back of that, and it went from there really. And I was terrified doing it, but everyone said they couldn't see that I was terrified, so that was a good thing, I think.
Yeah, that's the one thing that absolutely amazes me is you get very nervous, but you don't show it. You can't tell. So anyone who doesn't know you will think, bloody hell, she's really confident up there and everything, like. But like, you're a bit like a duck on the surface, cool, calm and collective, but under the water, your little feet are giving it like the max, aren't they?
Having a father that was in the SAS for years, you kind of learn to have a double persona in yourself.
Yeah.
You learn to mask your emotions maybe a little bit better than most kids would, because if you grow up in a military background, especially where the dad is in special forces, you know, it's very no nonsense, and you just learn to adapt to situations because that's all they know, and they're not normally particularly good parents because they're not there a lot and whatever, but they are robust. And likewise, military wives as well, in that scenario, are also very robust because they're being mothers and fathers. So as children, you end up taking on those traits. I mean, my father called me son, I think, for the first 7 years of my life. Right, son?
Right, so can we go back a little bit about your background, how you became the person you are now? Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and your background?
Well, I was painfully shy as a child, and I still suffer greatly with shyness, which people really struggle to get their heads around. But I adapt to it by, like I say, putting on this other sort of persona, that my other side, and I can switch between the two. There's probably some massive mental illness going on that I'm not aware of, who knows. But anyway, I'm able to do that. It's a good thing. My childhood was, my father was in the SAS for 18 years. You know, he's very well known. Barry Davies went in on the Mogadishu hijack in 77, I think the hijack was. You know, the first time they'd used flashbangs, been lots of programs written about it, etc. And I mean, to me, he was just dad. He was, you know, just your idiot, slightly uncool dad that wore like shorts and like mid-calf socks and sandals. And what? And as a child, I was mortified because he'd been overseas for months and months, and he came back with a sarong, and we lived in like rural Herefordshire, and Dad had taken to wearing a sarong down to the village shop. I was like, oh God.
So you had an interesting childhood from the sounds of it.
Yeah, definitely. And he used to give us hand grenade training, and we were very small. And what he used to do is he used to lie in the living room, and he used to throw, I don't know if this is accurate now, but he used to throw a cushion, and he used to say, right, you base a hand grenade on a 3 to 5 second rule. So if it's 3 to 5 seconds, what do you base it on? 3 seconds, Dad. Good, son. That's a good one. Right. So what are you going to do? He said, I'm throwing it, and then you'd have to run. You'd have to take 3 leaping jumps away, throw yourself down on the living room floor, cover your ears and open your mouth so the shockwaves didn't knock your teeth out. Perfectly normal childhood, Anthony.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Well, so obviously you've had a lot of adventures with with your dad and that, and your upbringing as well.
Yeah, I'm not saying it affected me, but what I will say is this. We had some gypsies that took over an old schoolhouse on the edge of our land, and they were really horrible. They used to tie dogs up in the floods and all this stuff. And I had my play, you know, kids have got play clothes. My play clothes was an all-in-one camouflage zip-up jumpsuit. And I had, my favourite toys were a button compass and a wire saw. And I had a pair of binoculars. And I used to go up in the tree and do recce's on the gypsies, write reports and gather evidence that they'd thrown over. And one day, and I must have been about 10, I found what could only be classed as a prosthetic breast, really, from those days, what they would have used if somebody had had a breast removed. I was so delighted with it because I didn't have boobs. I ran home, washed it, put it down my top, wore it in the middle of my jumper all day. Parents didn't even notice. That night, very carefully put it on the bookshelf. My mum was tucking me in and she went, okay, night, love you. Went to leave the room and was like, what the hell is that? I said, it's a plastic boob. I found it today. Can I keep it? I have watched it.
Yeah, perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal. Didn't affect me at all having military dad, no.
Well, you come from a military family, and it's one of those things. We all have interesting upbringings when we're brought up by military parents anyway. Your mum, can you tell us a little bit about your mum, please?
Yeah, so my mum is, she's this really strong woman. She's great. Her and Dad were married for 18 years. And, you know, she went on to marry somebody else after that. And Dad married everyone else after that. God knows how many times he was married. And she's one of these people that really cares about, she's always cared about, you know, always rescuing animals and doing all this stuff. And at the moment, she's working on this project. There's her and her friend Alison and my godmother Pauline. And it's for the Knife Angel, which is this amazing, huge sculpture by a young sculptor called Alfie. And it's made from something like 100,000 knives that were handed in from like 40 police forces around the UK that either been used in crime or handed in knife amnesties. And it's to signify peace and, you know, anti-violence, anti-aggression. And they have worked tirelessly raising funds to bring it to Hereford for a month in June. I should have checked the dates on this. I want to say around the 14th. I might be wrong. But anyway, it's coming around the middle of June. It'll be there for a month. It'll stand at Hereford Cathedral. And alongside it will run, there will be youth conferences, workshops on everything, all the stuff we didn't have to deal with growing up. County lines, you know, drug running, peer pressure, online pressure, sexual abuse, domestic abuse. And there will be a whole month of this positivity to help these youngsters. And I think they really hope from that it will take, you know, the next step on. So look them up, Knife Angel Hereford. It's going to be a brilliant project.
Yeah, there's some really nice photographs of it on the website as well. We'll get the website, the link to it we'll put underneath the interview as well, so the viewers can actually have a look at that as well. I highly recommend it. It's good. Right.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's just an absolutely stunning piece of work. And I think the representation, you know, what it represents is such a powerful message and needed nowadays. And do you know what, Anthony, for me, I think, I don't know if I'd have coped being a teenager in these times where it's relentless. Like, porn is accessible to them, even if you've got parental guides. You can't protect them from everything. It's been proven that the porn that is out there now over the last sort of however many years has degraded to such a point of negative impact and because it's so available to youngsters, it's affecting them and the way they look at relationships, and that really bothers me.
Yeah.
That there are so many things like that I would not have coped with. I mean, in my day, the worst thing that happened was your boyfriend Kevin dumped you by telling his friend to dump you at school. You went home, listened to Roxette for half an hour, cried, it must have been love, drank half a bottle of Lambrini and went and sat in his garden crying at 3 a.m. You know, it's not like that nowadays.
No, technology has changed a lot of it, a lot of what is going on, obviously, now with social media as well. Double-edged sword, isn't it? It's great for communication in the right hands, but you get trolls, you get idiots out there. I feel sorry for some of the young people who aren't mature, like the really young ones who don't know what a troll is or anything like that. It can be. It's I think
they can be very subtle, can't they, and still be bullied. And it's just the thing is, with social media, there is no getting away from it. Is the problem?
Well, it's a double-edged blade, but I think people now are starting to have a little bit of, not everybody, there is still some right puppets out there, but a lot of people are acting a little bit more responsible. But like I said, everyone's got an opinion. Everyone can hide behind a screen now. In this day and age, we're just going to have to find a way to move forward. But things have changed in 20 years, in 30 years ago. There wasn't any of this. Anyway, enough about that. That's another conversation. The material that you get for some of your stand-ups, where do you get it from?
Well, a lot of it, you know, the stuff I did at Ben Parkinson's thing, a lot of that was obviously military based. I knew it would be a military crowd, and it's just so easy to pick up on because, to be honest, the good thing about the military, anyone in the military, is they don't care about having the piss taken out of them because they're used to it and they've been doing it their entire careers, and they all identify with certain things. So, I mean, I was having a conversation with you before about, you know, the whole thing about how do they select the linguist and the medic and, you know, the DEMS guy and whatever, if they're doing a 4-man troop and they're in special forces. And I like to think they just get them all in a room and go, right, listen in. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. If it applies to you, I want you to raise your hand, okay? Anyone in here finish their education? Did anyone finish their education? There'd be one guy in the room. I did boss. Okay, did you get any languages? Yeah, I got a D in French. Brilliant. Step forward, take these Arabic flashcards, go over there and learn them. And the guy's like, hello, fuck's sake, locked out here. Anyone in here like blow me shit up? And then everyone go, me, boss. I said, all right, we'll come back to that. Draw your names out of a hat. And anyone in here sew? And there'd be one guy going, I can sew, boss. Got 3 sisters and crochet as well. Don't need you to crochet, I just need you to sew, okay? You step forward, you stand over there, you're going to be the medic. And I'm pretty sure that's how they go down. I like to think they do.
Right. I like that one. I think the viewers are going to be thinking, yeah, they can associate with all of that as well.
But the other thing as well about, so in Hereford, like the SAS worst kept secret in the world, you can spot them a mile off. And to be perfectly frank, as a Hereford girl, marrying an SAS guy is basically a career choice. You know, you're there and the careers officer comes around and says, you know, do you want to be a nurse? Because that's what they offered us when we were young girls. Do you want to be a nurse or secretary or typist? No. Do you want to marry an SAS guy? Yes. There's a lot of competition for it. Hereford girls are switched on to it. The guys think they're switched on to it. The girls are more switched on. They come in. When you see Hereford girls coming into a pub, when they're doing this, going, hi, watch more closely. They're not. They're coming in and doing hand signals, going, hi, there's 4. My right, 4. My right. They know. They've got them clocked. They know exactly where they are. And the guys, it's like they can't get out of going out on patrol. So they're still in these small groups. There's always a really fucking short one that's got an attitude about being short. Fuck off, fucking 5'8" I am. He's at least 5'5", with fucking selection and stacked up boots. There's always a really fucking angry one that everyone's a bit frightened of, even the other SAS guys. He's had a really hard life. He'll be somewhere up north he'd have come from. Had a hard life, left school at 11, helped his mum out. Got a motto in life, fuck it. And that's it. Everything he does, you see him, and like, he'll never have fashionable clothes on. He'll have some unbranded trainers. You'll be like, where'd you get trainers from, mate? So, oh, my mum sent them to me. I thought, fuck it, they'll do. And he's the one that basically, when you run out of ammunition in the desert, you want with you. Because when you all sit there going, fuck it, they'll fuck it, and just wade out with a breeze block. There's always one from like South Africa or New Zealand. And when he meets the guys, he'll come over and he'll be like, all right, mate, where are you from? South Africa. Oh, South Africa. Cool. What's your name? Cadwalder. Sorry. Koala? No, Cadwalder. All right, mate, we'll call you Kiwi. All right, boys, this is Kiwi. He's from fucking South Africa. He spent his entire military career being called Kiwi. No one gives a fuck. No fucks given.
Exactly. And it hasn't changed then.
No, it's like as long as ever.
No, it's thing is, being from a military family, you get us, all right? I've served in the Parachute Regiment. We've all got like a dark humour as well, because sometimes you've got to have a dark humour to get you through a lot of things that you've got to go through during the service. But being in civilian street, having a dark sense of humour, normal civilians don't get us at all. And it's quite amusing, especially after the drink.
People get offended at everything. Like I was talking to my auntie earlier, and we were just reminiscing. My auntie's this amazing woman. She is hilarious. I'd love her to do stand-up. Everyone loves her. My auntie on my Facebook, check her out, boys. She is single. And she, give her a little plug for my auntie Jan. But like, you know, some things are deemed as inappropriate. She'd worked all over the world. She's my first example of a really strong woman that inspired me. And I thought, wow. And we were talking earlier, and not to digress too much at this point, she was saying she had a cleaner out in Morocco. He used to nick everything off her. And she said she'd come in and she'd be entirely covered up. And she would come in and she would walk out and she'd be clanking. She'd nick the saucepans and everything. And they called her Fingers Fatima. Don't know what a real name was.
Why not?
Some people would say it was inappropriate, but anyway, that's my auntie. But she tells some cracking stories. I was walking down the road with her. It was my first holiday, sort of on my own and flying on my own. And I went to see her when she was working in Morocco. And we were walking down the road and we were getting like curb crawled and really harassed by a car full of men, which was quite intimidating for me. And they were going, hey, sexy ladies, you get in now. Sexy, get in, you get in now. And they're like, come on, we speak a little English, you get in. And I was like, ooh. And my auntie was going, no, it's fine, just ignore them. Carried on talking and walking, and they just persisted. You get in the car. And in the end, she went, hang on a second, Sarah. 1 minute. And she turned around, and when she went up to the window and she said, you speak English? She went, yeah, we speak a little English. She went, good. Well, fuck off then. And off they fucked.
No fucks given. Sometimes it has to be done though. Sometimes the direct approach actually works more.
And there used to be like little scams over there, like locals would pretend that you'd run over their foot and stuff like that. And people would panic and give them money. They tried to do it to my Auntie Jan. She just go, oh, fuck off. Twat.
Right. During your stand-ups, you've done quite a lot of this. Was there one particular show that really stood out that you really enjoyed as well? Why did you enjoy it? And
I think it's got to be the first one because I was so terrified, even though it was an open mic thing. Being up there for 40 minutes and being funny is hard work, and I never write anything down. I memorize it.
Okay.
And I think it's got to be the first one. The first one sticks in my head because the reaction was phenomenal. And I think it's quite rare to get that reaction. It was a shame at Ben's do that the sound system didn't carry because, you know, you ended up with that situation where people were talking on the outside and it filtered in. There's nothing you can do about it. You just cut it and go, you know, tonight is not the night.
All right. What other gigs have you got planned at the moment? I know everything's went up in the air because of COVID, but have you got any special ones on the go?
One locally in Hay-on-Wye, because Hay-on-Wye is a really nice community, and I've got a big local following as well, and that means I can get my family and friends in, and then that will, you know, and whoever else follows me locally, and that's kind of a nice opener because, of course, no one's been doing anything, so that's a nice ease into it. Right. And then, God, I look like a gynecologist when I do that. I don't do that ever. And then I think moving forward, I don't know, there will be private gigs that come up and stuff. And obviously you're going to get me in, Anthony, you know.
Always. Not a problem. We're already working on this, aren't we? Right. You would like to say a big shout out to some people as well who we know are going to be watching this. Go for it. Yeah,
I do want to give a big shout out, and part of it is about inspirational. So what I was going to say before is that, like, a lot of my act is based around strong women because I absolutely, you know, I adore strong women, and all of my friends, my female friends, are strong women. And this all started with my first feminist friend, Cecilia, many years ago in London. She'd come over from Spain with her boyfriend Sante, and she'd come over here to take a year out from her studies to help enhance them. And I'd asked her, growing up in rural Herefordshire, what she studied, and she said she studied women's studies. I was very naive and genuinely thought she'd come to the UK to learn how to iron. And after about a month of knowing her, she said to me, no, it's about the strong women. It's about the women of the past and the women of the future. It is not enough to be equal to the man. We must be better somehow. I tried to get on the feminist train, was rubbish at it. I was like, oh, hi, okay, thanks so much for dinner. Don't open the door for me, you sexy pig. Can I have a lift home, please? So I was a bit rubbish at being a feminist. But Cecilia was great. And there were two things that really stuck in my heart, like my head, my heart, about her was when I was very heartbroken once, she turned up and I was crying over a boy. She turned up in the pub we worked in. She said, no, Sarah, don't cry over him. That man is an idiot. Don't cry over an idiot. You are stronger than him, not better than him. You must be like Beyonce. You know how this song goes? I'm a survivor, because she was Spanish, couldn't say Davies. It's always stuck in my head, survivor. It's like, I am a survivor. And the other one was, she came in one day, she was really indignant about something. And I said, what's the matter? She said, I'm so disgusted. I was like, yeah. And she said, I went for dinner last night with my boyfriend, Santa. I can't even say I was so disgusted. I said, you've got to tell me. She said, well, Santa, he had a salad. And in his salad was a snail with no house. Because she didn't know the word for slug.
House.
Strong woman I met. And from that, leading on to the shout out. The first one has got to be Roberta Winston Druitt. Lots of people will know her. She's an amazing lady. She is so strong and such an inspiration. And they're going through a tough time. The family, her sister's very unwell at the moment. So, you know, she's really going through it, and she remains positive and always doing stuff for others. And I think with the females that are my friends in life, what attracts me to them is they have this quite male mentality. I don't really like girly girls. And Roberta's one of those. And I can remember talking to her one day on the phone, and she was saying about something. She went, I don't know why you're asking me. She went, I'm sick as fuck, babe. Sick as fuck, aren't I, babe? Talking to her husband, you know, she will always put herself down. She, of course, is not thick as fuck. She's an amazing and an inspiration. But she's got that bloke mentality, which is brilliant. And I think the other shout out has got to be to my mate, Terry. My mate, who is known as Terry, no fucks given. She literally, she's an Essex girl. She couldn't look more Essex. Fake boobs, lips, lashes, the whole thing, brows, nails. Spends her whole time saying, like, no fucks given, mate. She is an absolute honorary bloke, and that is why I love her to pieces. I love women like that.
Yeah.
And the other shout out has got to be a very old friend of mine. Well, not he's very old. Willie is very fucking old now, aren't you, Matt Hellier? Is he CEO now? Pilgrim Bandits?
Yeah.
Matt Hellier, I've known for years. He is the most inspirational, kind-hearted guy. If he is on your team and takes you under his wing, and it sticks in my head when he gave a speech at Ben Parkinson's dining out, and he said, look, you know, the military's great when you're in it. Sometimes sort of not great when you're not in it, but you know what I'm saying. He said, and when you leave, you come to us and we'll look after you. He has helped so many people and inspired so many people, and he still remains the same humble Cockney bastard he always was, really. Couldn't love him more. So Pilgrim Bandits, if you haven't looked them up, look them up.
The link for Pilgrims will be under the interview as well. I'll make sure that's there, so everyone can have a chat with Matt if they need it as well. And the good work that they do as well. Absolutely outstanding. Yeah.
I think for me, what inspires me about them is it's the mental side of it. You know, people have been horrifically injured. It's the mental side where we all know it's tough enough for people when they come out of the military anyway to integrate back into civilian life. It's tough on people. So if you've had a horrific injury, that doubles it. And what they do, the Pilgrim Bandits, I think, is they bring back that camaraderie. You're not alone. And this time, There's no time span on that. You are not alone for the end of your days. We've got you. And that's why they're brilliant.
It's important as well. Well, the results and the ethos of Pilgrims speaks absolute volumes. Right, I've got a question for you on this one. If you could go on holiday anywhere in the world right now, where would it be? Why? And what would you do there?
Where would it be? Oh. Well, it'd have to be Scunthorpe, wouldn't it? No, I'm joking. I'm not really one now. I'd be quite well travelled. I'm not one that's entirely up for that. Maybe something like the Northern Lights. What about you, Anth? Where would you go?
It would have to be up there. The Northern Lights has got me vote every time. Up there. Beautiful place, isn't it?
Oh, that's it. You pay and I'll be there.
Happy days, eh? Right, I'm going to wind the interview down in a couple of minutes. Is there anything else that you would like to say, or anyone else you would like to give a shout out to?
No, I think that's it. I just want to give my absolute respect to everyone that served, whether that's the police force, fire service, nurses, doctors, army, everything at the moment. The world has gone into an absolute, it's been a shit state for a year or so for the entire world. And it's really, I think, given us all perspective on what is important and who is important. And those people that are important are also the shop workers and the people keeping things going and the cleaners in the hospital, not just the doctors and nurses. And my one message I would like to sign off with is, let's not wait for something awful to happen or somebody to commit suicide, like the awful Caroline Flack thing, before we have to hashtag be kind. Let's just be fucking kind anyway.
It doesn't cost anything. Manners and kindness are free.
No.
I think with the old COVID, I'm going to add something to that. It's been a very difficult time for a lot of people, a lot of families, not just veterans, a lot of people.
You've done brilliant work and all your stuff behind the, you don't shout about all the stuff you're doing and, helping people out with food parcels and stuff. And we've spoken about getting that more on a bigger project. It's just a fucking shame that we have to do that. Like I said to you before, the government with COVID in England, all the people that were shielding and vulnerable, lots of them, like my grandmother, they got a big box of food stuff and everything delivered once a week from the government, okay? So if they can afford to do that in a pandemic, why can they not say, right, everyone is entitled to a rationed food box of your basics. This is what you get per person. You're in a household of 4, then we'll deliver it all in that. Or, sorry, you pick it up from the supermarket in that. You have your, if everyone has it and you have the right to sign away to pick it up so that it goes back into the system, which is great, and you can sign back into it should you ever need it in the future. That way, there would be no shame about the food banks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If the government could do that, it would help everyone and it would take the shame out of it and stop charities having to run themselves ragged. It shouldn't be a charity thing.
I think a lot of what has happened over the past year and a half with the COVID, it's brought out the best in some people, but the worst in others. But a lot of...
Has it brought out the worst? Like who? I want to know. Give me names.
I'm not going to give names here. Yeah, but on a general perspective, it has. We've seen some incredible acts of kindness. Some people have just... People like the neighbours, people in the cities, who sometimes in the past wouldn't have spoken to each other. We've seen some incredible acts of kindness there. I've seen in where we are, what we do. I've seen some incredible acts of kindness by some older veterans looking after the younger ones, the younger veterans. This is never...
And there is absolutely nothing wrong with it being that way around, because the older veterans, when they were serving, they had a fucking hard time.
Yeah.
And you know they did. And you look at, you hear stories about World War One. I mean, how the fuck anyone come out of World War One? I don't know. World War Two was bad.
Yeah.
And the conditions that these people were in, and half of them were fucking starving as well, the soldiers.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But a lot of lessons, what has happened with COVID, hopefully, a lot of lessons have been learnt. And in I've actually seen in certain parts of the country, the community spirit that had been lost in a lot of villages is back.
For sure.
Important. That is
Definitely.
a big thing, and that gives everyone the confidence to think, something, we can get through this, and think we're going to be okay at the other end as well.
But do you see my point? I feel like if the government made this sort of basic rationing a thing for everyone, then it would take the shame out of it. And that's what upsets me about the food bank aspect. It's the shame. People are embarrassed. If it was available to everyone,
then it wouldn't be an issue.
It would be like, it's up to you if you take it or not.
Exactly. Well, hopefully the government.
Prime Minister, okay. See you, Boris.
Exactly. You should go into politics. Not. No, Sarah. Anyway.
Abbott, can I?
Exactly, Dal. Right, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Educational. It's been funny. It's been a bit different, but thank you so much for coming on. I hope it's managed to put a couple of smiles on a couple of people's faces, especially to the people who we've had a shout out to. This has been a very mild interview as well. I'll just like to point that one out. Okay, Sarah, anything else before we go?
No, that's it. I'm good to go.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Patriot Show. As always, it's been emotional, educational, or put a smile on your face. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Catch you in the next show.
Bye.
Bye-bye.